Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Tuesday, December 9th with news from Arkansas. The first news of the day is big national news. The release of the Senate Intelligence Committee report on CIA tactics. The torture was worse than anybody thought. Everybody expected a bad report. It was worse than they expected. I'm anxious to see what Arkansas congressmen have to say about it. Tom Cotton, the rising senator, particularly, has been very robust about how we should be forceful in dealing with foreign powers. So he perhaps will have a stronger view than perhaps some will. John McCain made a ringing speech that was un-American, the things that the report detailed. On the local level, some local Republican politicians have adopted the national talking points that it's dangerous to American interests to let the American people know when we've lied to them and when we've done things that are un-American. I think John McCain is right on this one. I hope more people fall in line with him. Elsewhere, reporting today on the Arkansas blog about business as usual at the Arkansas legislature. You may know that voters adopted an amendment that ended gifts from lobbyists to legislators. This would include the old practice of providing free drinks and meals. Well, not exactly. The legislature is having orientation sessions this week, and they're getting free breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, all paid for by the lobbyists of Arkansas. There is an exception in the amendment for so-called planned events. If you invite the whole legislature, you can slop the hogs to your heart's content, and that's exactly what they're doing, is slopping them. The public's not invited. I think they should be. The social calendar is kept by the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce, the biggest business lobby. It's not kept by a public agency. That gives you a little idea of who's running the show out there. Speaking of the ethics amendment, I've got an item on the blog this morning that suggests a way to decide what pay ought to be under the Independent Citizens Commission that's going to review public official pay and recommend changes, if any. When voters last changed Arkansas public official pay, it was in 1993, they set levels of pay that they thought were fair for the jobs. Legislators haven't always gotten the benefit of the rise of the consumer price index over that time, neither have state employees for that matter. But I say a fair way to do this is just to give legislators, state officials, and judges the equivalent of what they would have gotten had they gotten their annual CPI increases all those years. I've computed those numbers on the blog today. It would give everybody a pay raise, 10, 12, even more than 20% for legislators, but I still think produce pay that wouldn't knock you out at the size of it. Arkansas is, after all, the 48th lowest state in terms of per capita income. Other political news, Asa Hutchinson has informed R.T. Williams, the head of the State Workforce Services Department, that he won't be retaining them. He's going to be finding a new man. Energy Corporation Arkansas has bought part of a big gas-fired generating plant in Union County. That's good news on a number of fronts. For one thing, they won't be burning more coal to produce more electricity. Mark Pryor gave his farewell speech in the U.S. Senate yesterday, and it was classic Mark Pryor. Mushy, some might call it, kind and gentle, others might. He praised his family, his kids, his colleagues, talked about his bipartisan efforts, invoked the deity a number of times, and kind of went out the way he came in, sort of a nice guy, but unrewarded for that effort by voters. Elsewhere, Sharon Priest, who's been the director of the Downtown Partnership, former Secretary of State and city leader, is going to retire as head of the Downtown Partnership. Her efforts to get a small tax increase to support the Metro Center Improvement District Commission they run, and an effort to have a design corridor downtown have run into intense controversy. She says that's not part of the reason, but I do think the Downtown Partnership's future is somewhat in doubt because of this. News tonight will include the Little Rock City Board, which is still tussling with a tough budget, not enough money to pay all the needs they have coming in, employee pay and other issues, and there are going to be some fee increases that are going to be necessary just to meet what the demands are without doing any growth. And the biggest news of the night I can't give you now, but the Fayetteville voters will vote on whether or not to repeal the Civil Rights Ordinance, which extends some protections to gay people. The debate has gotten fierce and ugly and dishonest in a number of ways. As I said yesterday, I'm pessimistic about the outcome in terms of retaining the ordinance. I think the possibility of repeal is great. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm Max Brantley. See you then.